Hey y'all, so I just got done with today's workout. It's an awesome one. It's one of my favorite ones. It is 17.5. So what that workout stands for is in the online CrossFit Open, the first qualifying chance athletes have to qualify for the CrossFit Games. It's a 5-week online qualifier where they release one workout a week. They do it every year for the CrossFit Games. 17 just stands for 2017. 0.5 stands for the 5th week. So this was the 5th workout in the 2017 CrossFit Open, and it is an awesome one. It was so good, we like to do it a lot. So we use it as a benchmark. So we've got 4 time today. It is a testing workout. So we have 10 rounds for time, 9 thrusters. The RX weights are 95-65. This should be about 35% of your max, 35 double unders. So a few things to consider here. Whenever we have a testing workout, you have a couple options. You can retest a previous benchmark. So if you've done this one before, just replicate it. However you scaled the thrusters, if you scaled them, however you did the double unders, do it the same. That way we have these data points and we can see, are you getting fitter as we look at all of these different tests. So that's one way. The other way is if you don't have an old benchmark to look at, is we're going to set a new benchmark. What we like to do there is we like to overreach just a little bit. So that way you don't set it at exactly 35% of your max right now. You set it maybe closer to about 45 or 50% of your max thruster. And then that way we're overreaching a little bit. And what that does is that it's going to allow you to retest with that exact same setup as we try and drop your time, as opposed to going 35%, and then the next time you're doing it, maybe now, since you've gotten stronger, you're actually using a weight that's below 35%, and we're kind of missing the point of the workout. So that's going to be another strategy, is overreaching just a little bit on purpose. Keep it within your wheelhouse. For this workout, that overreach would be something like 45-50%. And then you know it's time to overreach again and set a new one once you get faster and faster and that number starts getting under 35%, or when you just hit the RX numbers, stick there and we'll see if you can drop your times. The other way to do it is treat this more like a training workout and try and mimic the stimulus the top athletes in the world are going to get. So if you're doing that, we would go with 35% of a max. So if we're using dumbbells today, or if you have a pair of kettlebells, we're going to go with medium dumbbells. And we're going to change that number from 9 up to 12. Or if you have a heavy pair of dumbbells, we're going to change that number from 9 down to 6. Whatever we're doing with these weights, if we want it to be this go, go, go type workout, we should be using something where it's a no-brainer that we can go unbroken. The first few rounds kind of feel like a complete joke. And as you get going, you realize it's like, I got to pick them up. There's nowhere to rest because you have no real reason to rest. Whereas if we're kind of setting a new benchmark, you might have to break that up into like 5 and 4. Or if we're going heavy here, you might have to break it up. Or you might have to break these up, just depending if you're overreaching or if these are really kind of in your wheelhouse. So that's something to keep in mind. This should be unbroken if you're closer to that 35% range. It's probably going to be 2 sets if you're into that 45 or 50% range. So if you're in that overreaching zone, start the workout with 2 sets. Because like I said, that 45 to 50% range, you'll be able to go 9 unbroken. That's not a problem. The problem is rounds 5, 6, 7, 8 in the second half of this workout. So set up the second half of the workout. If you get to round 5 and you're doing fine, you can always go unbroken and speed it up there. So keep that in mind with the thrusters. With the double unders, and this just kind of depends how good you are. But again, we want you overreaching, and if we're using this for a testing workout, we just need to make sure that you're doing something that we can replicate. So if you're not amazing at double unders, the best people in the gym are just going to go 35 unbroken. It kind of sucks, you're out of breath. You don't really want to be doing it, but by the time it really starts to hurt, you're already at 25, and 10 takes 5 seconds. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just the arm burn and the out of breath mixed with the thrusters that sucks. But anyway, so the best in the gym are going to go unbroken. They might accidentally mess up, but they're going to go unbroken here. So if you're someone who, instead of having, 150, 200, 300, 400 plus double unders in a row, those are the people that 35 really makes sense. If you're more in that, I can do like 50 to 100 in a row, then maybe dropping that number down to 25 is going to be a good number that we can keep going, keep going, keep going. Or if you're someone who can, we can string together 5 or 6 here and there, but it's kind of inconsistent, that's fine. Let's drop the number probably to 15. That way, no matter how many times you mess up, we get to move on to the other thing. So the only thing we don't want you doing is just getting stuck on these things. We want you to be able to keep moving. Other strategies for the jump rope is just to say, I'm going to do 35, but I'm going to get 3 attempts in at doubles. And if I get 1 double under in, then I'm going to finish with singles. I'm going to do 34 singles after that. Or in 3 attempts, if I get 15 in, I'm going to finish, quick math here. So then you're going to finish with 20 singles. So just doing like 3 attempts at doubles, finish it with singles. I don't really like subbing out single unders for double unders. It's like if we were going to run sprints and we were doing 100-meter sprints and then we wanted to sub jogging. It's like, yeah, you could jog 3 times as far, and that's hard, but that's not any, it doesn't have anywhere close to the same stimulus as sprinting. So double unders and single unders are kind of the same way. So what I recommend is that if you don't have your double unders and don't want to mess with those other variations I talked about, we're going to do 15 bounding jumps on a very low box. We're not going to make you stop on top of the box and stand up. You're just going to pick a low box, maybe stacking 1, 2, or 3 bumper plates on top of each other, and just bouncing up and down off of them. And it kind of mimics what a double under would feel like. And it kind of forces that higher jump, the bound. Because one of the hardest parts of the double under is breathing deep and having to brace as you land on the ground over and over again. That's one of the hardest parts of it. And the single under is not the same. So these bounding jumps are very similar. So last thing is make sure you've got something to keep track of rounds. It's usually whenever you get above 3 rounds, it helps to have poker chips or just something to write on so you can keep track of rounds. And that also helps because then you don't have to worry. There's so much stress involved. If you're like, oh, am I on round 5 or 6? Then you start feeling bad about it. So just have something to keep track of rounds. Strategies, just like I talked about, kind of depends where you are, but 1 or 2 sets. Start your strategy from the very beginning. If you're going unbroken, you should be thinking, yeah, I can go unbroken on this the whole time, I think. And if you're like, oof, I don't know, that's where it's 2 sets, and then change your plan midway through. Try and go unbroken on the double unders if you can. And just give yourself, don't come out on this workout as fast as possible. And that's going to be a mistake we see is people are going to go thrusters. They're not going to breathe. They're going to be holding their breath through the thruster. They're not going to be breathing. They're going to go straight here, and then they're going to go straight to there, and it's going to be about 1.5 minutes in where they really take their first breath, and it's too late. They're going to be just bombed out by then. So do your thrusters, breathe as you do them. Take a couple breaths, do your double unders. Take a couple breaths, do your thrusters, and start chipping away with that, just with the focus on like, let's be calm and controlled. The way we go fast in this workout is by going unbroken. And then again, once you get to that halfway point, if you're like, I can maintain this, then do it. If you think you can pick it up, pick it up. And if you're just dying, that's perfect. That's where you should be. That's where we just fight to maintain what you're doing. Hope that helps. I think my time, probably should have looked at it beforehand. I think my time was like 7.5 or something. Fastest in the world, or way faster than that. But I'd go ahead, and it just kind of depends. If you're overreaching a little bit on the thrusters and on the double unders, completely fine. I'd put a 15-minute cap on this workout, though. Enjoy it. Write it down. It is something you'll see again. Good benchmark. Let's test, see where you're at. Talk to y'all soon.